BS show. What are we? Season 5 now? Episode 1. Sean Gankars with Justin Chasmar. We do not have Adam Tynan today, missing the season premiere. We hate to see it, but we promise we will have him back next week. With that said, we got into a very long and arguably one of the most exciting NFL all seasons we've probably seen in the past 5 to 10 years, if not longer. A lot has happened. We will break it down for you what we can. We'll get talk to you division by division, but Chaz, we are a mere 8 days away from opening night. How are we feeling?
Yeah, I mean, when the BS show comes back, it's time for some football. So it's obviously a exciting time. AT is a little too busy for us. He's out in Italy, so we'll get him back next week before week one. But hey, it's football season. There's nothing better. Obviously, baseball season's coming to a close, but when September rolls around, it's football season, and I mean, as a Ravens fan, I'm excited. We just went off on a long ass fantasy football talk. So obviously fantasy football season's right around the corner too. But just excited to get going and dive into it.
Yeah, I think we say it every year. There is no better time of the year than right now when all your bar conversations are about fantasy football. Who you're picking, where you're picking, why you're picking. It is, to me, cream of the crop time of the year. March Madness tournament, the only thing that probably comes close to it. It's just a good time. And like I said, we were 8 away. We went through a long off season. Let's start with the big ones because this is football and quarterbacks are king when it comes to this sport. Chaz, we saw multiple big names move. Russell Wilson being a huge one. Matt Ryan going to Indy. Carson Wentz going to Washington. When you look at all these quarterback moves and everything, which one do you feel is most important and the best for their team?
I mean, I'm gonna say Russell Wilson to Denver. I think we've said this multiple times on this show in years past that the Broncos are one piece away, and that one piece was always the quarterback. I know Guerra always swore by Drew Lock that he was the answer. Obviously, he was not. I mean, they playmakers all around him, but it does suck that they had to give up Noah Fant in that trade to Seattle. Um, but obviously, you get Russell Wilson now with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, and obviously with Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon. That offense should be able to move the ball. I mean, pretty much with ease. Russ is in a fantastic spot. The downside is that conference is going to be absolutely loaded. All four teams are going to be really good. All four matchups are going to be slugfests. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored in those AFC West games. So, I mean, the Broncos definitely have their work cut out for them. But I think Russ landing in Denver is a move that Denver needed to make. Glad they got it done. I'm sure Garrett's glad too, and all the Bronco fans. And that AFC West is going to be a dogfight till the last week. But I think Russ is definitely going to have a good couple of years there.
I think I got you back. Lost you for a second, but yeah, Russ is obviously an obvious one. I'm gonna venture out here and I'm gonna go Matt Ryan to Indianapolis is something pretty important. Russ is an obvious take. I love Russell Wilson this year. You said it. He's the missing piece that the Broncos needed. So with that said, I mean, I look at Matt Ryan, this Colts offense. They were missing a quarterback last year, and Carson Wentz is by no means bad in that offense, but he's just not the guy to get you over the top. We have seen Matt Ryan do everything but win the Super Bowl. I think he brings an extra level to that offense. Jonathan Taylor kind of carried that team. Carson Wentz did what he had to, but with that said, Matt Ryan is the guy that will get them over the top. I think that they cruise through that division with ease and with Matt Ryan there on the Colts offense, I think he's the guy that you're going to want to look out for. He brings his Colts team over the top. I don't like the AFC South too much. We know we hate the fucking Titans on this podcast. We go back and forth with that an absolute lot. And I think they're really on a decline this year. So Matt Ryan to the Colts is big. I think the Colts cruise in that division and, fade the Titans, bet the Colts. I've been big on the Colts the past few years. Hopefully they don't let me down this year. Next thing too, big quarterbacks moves, big wide receiver moves. The two big ones: Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill. Chaz, who's the benefit more on their new team?
I'm gonna say the Raiders with Devontae. Devontae Adams is obviously a special talent, and I think he's played with Derek Carr before, so obviously it's going to help. Once again, I'm going back to the AFC West. It's going to be a loaded division, and the Raiders last year, Hunter Renfrow was very good for them. Darren Waller, underperformed. He missed a lot of the time, but then after Hunter Renfrow, it really wasn't anyone to throw the ball to, so they had to go out and get a number one that they could really turn to when they need a first down, when they need a big play, because Devontae's going to come down with it. When you flip it to Tyreek in Miami, I think it's an obvious downgrade from Kansas City. I don't trust Tua enough to think that Tyreek is going to be anywhere near what he was last year. And obviously they have Jalen Waddle, they have Mike Gesicki, so they have some other options that they can throw the football to. And when it comes to Devontae, Aaron Rodgers is obviously a step up from Derek Carr. So obviously Devontae's going backwards too with who's throwing him the football. But with the connection that they've already had in college and just the playmaker that Devontae is, I think it's going to bring a whole nother element to that Las Vegas Raider offense. Because now it's not only Renfrow and Waller you got to worry about. Now it's Devontae too. So, they're probably projected to come in last place in that division. And when you look at that offense, it's going to be pretty damn good.
Yeah, that division is just going to be fun to watch all year long. I agree. Devontae, like you said too, teammates with Derek Carr in college. I still love the fit there. I feel like a lot of people are down on him in terms of, some of the numbers he put up. But, let's not take away from Derek Carr. We're talking about a guy that threw for 4,800 yards with Hunter Renfrow as his top guy. Bringing Devontae there, Derek Carr is going to find a way to get him the ball. Devontae ain't going to miss a step. He's still, in my opinion, arguably the most talented receiver in football, definitely the best route runner in football. He's going to get open. He's going to get his. And going on the Tyreek Hill train, I'm a Tua hater. We're going to hear a lot about that on the show all year long. I started to turn. We all know I started to buy into Lamar. I still like Lamar. And, Tua, who has guys like Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle throw the ball to this year, he's the guy I'm calling out. He's my quarterback hater. It's gone from Kirk Cousins to Lamar to what is now Tua. And another thing, I like Kirk Cousins this year too. We'll get into that more as the season goes on, the show goes on. But Tua is a guy I'm fading, and because of that, the Dolphins will likely be a team I'm going to be fading throughout the year. They do have talent. I do think they're going to win some games. I do think they are a borderline playoff team, but because of the roster and what they have on paper and all the hype, once we get into the Vegas lines and everything, I think they'll be laying too many points at some spots or not getting enough points at another. I just don't think they're that great of an all-around team yet. And with Tua leading it, that's another step down for me. So look for me to fade the Titans or the Dolphins all year. And as much as I love Tyreek Hill, he's a guy I just don't love the fit as long as that's the quarterback there. But
yeah, also when you look at the running backs, they brought in Chase Edmonds, Henry Mostert. They brought in Sony Michel, but they just cut him. But so obviously they're gonna put an emphasis on running the football too to probably lessen the burden on Tua, who seems to get hurt quite a bit. So when it comes to like fantasy upside or just a better fit, I think it's clearly Devontae.
Did they cut Sony Michel?
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. I think I got drunk one night and was doing a best ball draft and fell asleep, and they picked me for him. So
Nice,
didn't do much work for me.
nice. Hey, we'll get picked up by someone, I'm sure.
Yeah, it'd be nice. I can't drop or do anything about it now at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Just gotta hope.
All right. Defensively, offensively, any other moves you notice this all season, Chaz, that catches your eye, maybe going under the radar, or you think that's really going to improve a team this season?
I'm not gonna say one person. I'm gonna say a unit, and I'm gonna go to the Eagles on the defensive side. And what I mean, they were obviously pretty. They had some holes on their defense, and they addressed them, including their move today. And we'll talk about the Eagles probably more later on in the show. But I mean, they went out and signed a pass rusher into Son Reddick, who's a Philly boy. They went out and got your boy Bradbury from the Giants. They just got gifted Gardner Johnson today, the safety from the Saints, because they couldn't come to a deal with him. Obviously, they drafted Jordan Davis in the draft. So they did a lot on the defensive side of the football that I think is going to be a big part in their success this year in the NFC East. So, I mean, for me, that this whole offseason, as soon as I saw that news today, it really jumped out to me like, damn, the Eagles, they went for it on the defensive side of the ball and offensive, but defensive more so. And I think all those pieces are going to come together, and their defensive unit's going to be pretty good.
Yeah, this we'll get into our division by division breakdowns, and this pains me to say, but as a Giant fan, but when you look at the Eagles roster, I love what they did defensively this all season. I mean, they arguably have a top 5 roster in football, and it's all literally all in the hands of Jalen Hurts this year. Like I said, we'll get more into this during the show, and I'm trying to take a similar AFC version of what you said, and this division's already been talked about a lot to start the new season of the BS show. But Chargers, locking in Derwin James and then bringing in a Khalil Mack, you're talking about a division that's going to light up the scoreboard with points, because when you look at all these defenses, like, no, I don't trust the Raiders defense. The Broncos defense has some pieces. Still don't fully trust it. Don't really trust the Chiefs defense either. And as bad as the Chargers defense has been, when you all of a sudden look on paper at the players they have, they might have the best defense in that division. And when you look at the rest of it, we know fireworks and points are going to happen, but having the best defense, that can win them this division this year. That's going to go a long way. I think Khalil Mack's a huge signing. He needs to stay healthy. That defense has the pieces. Herbert and the offense is going to be electric along with the rest of them. So Mack hasn't been what he was, 2-3 years ago, but new team, maybe he could return a little to his old self, and that's going to go a long way for that Chargers defense. But let's get into these division breakdowns right now. Everybody wants to start with the AFC West, so we're going to end with the AFC West because we know that's the big one. Let's go to the division you brought up, because let's be honest, the division sucks. Has sucked recently. Probably the most boring. I'll start in my hometown with the Giants in the NFC East. I mean, year in and year out, coming to this division, Dallas has been the favorite to win it recently. And then, whatever falls off, Giants, Redskins way down there. What Commanders, my bad. I forgot they got a new team now. With that said, going into this division, for me, you already bought them up, so I'll try to keep this short and sweet. But I'm looking at the Eagles to win this division this year, actually, as somebody who's probably picked Dallas to win the division. I think every year we've done this podcast. Maybe the first year we started, I did it, but I think every year since I've picked Dallas. I'm finally going to hop off of that. I'm taking Philly. I said it before. I think they have a top 5 roster in football. I think they go as far as Jalen Hurts takes them. I'm still not big on Jalen Hurts, but he does have talent. He does have ability, and they have a defense in that shit division that's just going to shut them down. I see no problem with them winning 5 games in division. Wouldn't be shocked if they stole 6, but I'm sure Dallas will find one against them. Don't see the Giants beating them. Don't see Washington beating them. And with that said, I wouldn't even be surprised if they kind of run away with this division. I think Dallas is on a decline right now. As long as Jerry Jones is still being a puppet for Mike McCarthy, like that ain't gonna work. I do love Dak Prescott, especially in fantasy terms this year. I do think their offense will still try to find a way to score points. Micah Parsons, defensive rookie of the year, is great, but the team as a whole seems like a mess. It seems like they had their window and opportunity to get a deep playoff run and missed it already. And the Eagles are a team up and coming. So give me the Eagles to win the division. Maybe the Cowboys offense still can't click and fight for a wild card. I'm not counting on it. As for my Giants, their schedule is cake this year. I'm hoping the new coaching staff could kind of turn things around, just at least give us a whole new look on offense. Your boy Wink on defense. I'm excited to do that, but I don't need handoffs on 3rd and 7 when you've got the ball on your own like 6 yard line. Like mix up the offense a little. With the schedule, I'm not surprised if the Giants do find a way to win 7 games, which is over their 6.5, but they're obviously not ready or there yet, and I don't believe in the Commanders either. So give me the Eagles with almost ease to win that division this year.
Yeah, Gag, I gotta tell you, I am shocked that you did not just say the Cowboys, because pretty positive you took the Cowboys every year so far to win this division. And I mean, most of the times they are favored, so it's not crazy, but I'm gonna side with you here. I'm gonna take the Eagles too for a lot of what I just said. I'll try to keep it short too, but a lot I agree with what you just said. Jalen Hurts, it's all gonna depend on how big of a step he takes this year. I mean, they made the playoffs last year, but they also didn't beat any playoff teams to get there. So, and then they went into Tampa and got smoked. So, this year, though, obviously, like I said, the defense is way better. They went out and addressed the receiver need alongside Devonta Smith with A.J. Brown. They still got her. The one huge hole, though, is the running back. Miles Sanders, one, isn't usually healthy, and when he is, he's usually not too great, but he's already hurt. So that leaves Boston Scott and Kenneth Gainwell back there. So maybe they'll go try to grab someone else. If not, it's going to be a lot of Hurts running. Again, he's going to continue to throw the ball. And, I mean, when you look at the Cowboys, I'm with you. I think their year was last year. You had the rookie of the year. You had Diggs with what, 10 or, double-digit interceptions. You had Amari Cooper on the team, and they obviously couldn't get it done. Obviously, they already lost a huge piece of their offensive line with Tyron Smith out, and obviously Mark Cooper's gone. Michael Gallup is still not participating. I saw he's not going to start the year on the pup, though, which is big for them. But and then you look at the Giants, like you said, I think the Giants, with the new coaching staff and things like that, the outlook is a little brighter, but I don't think they're there yet. And the Commanders, I mean, it's Carson Wentz, and the Commanders just have shown really nothing last year to make me believe that they're going to bounce back. And, Carson Wentz couldn't beat the Jaguars to get in the playoffs last year with the Colts roster. I don't see how he's getting in the playoffs with the Commanders roster here. So, give me the Birds. I didn't think I'd be saying that a few weeks ago, but give me the Birds to win this division. And I think their win total is over 9.5. I'll probably say over that.
Yeah, it's funny with the Commanders too because they burned us last year. I think you had high hopes for them last year.
I did.
I didn't have them in the playoffs, but I was saying, watch their defense. We can. This is a defense that says start to come around and maybe a year or two away, and they literally just burned everything we said. So
Yeah.
I can't hop on the Washington train again. They're gonna have to show me something before I do that.
Yeah, that was the whole reason I backed them, because their defense was so good, and it was like they wouldn't have to score them any points, but their defense was like one of the worst in the league.
Fucking Daniel Jones had his best game of the season against them.
Yeah, like they were horrific. So, I mean, I don't know how, if you're a Commander, I don't know how you think that they're going to be in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, it'll be tough. All right. Well, at this point, we'll just go through the NFC. Let's go to the South. Likely an obvious answer here, but how are you feeling about that division this year?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to be the easiest one to pick. I'm gonna say the Bucks. I think it's pretty simple. I mean, Tom Brady is still there. A few months ago, when he retired, I'm sure a lot of people bet on other teams to win that division, and then he came back a week later. So all those people probably already lost their bets. But I mean, listen, Tom Brady, as long as he's there and that roster still constructed the way it is, they lost Gronk, but I mean, everyone else is still there. They added Julio Jones, who supposedly looks like Julio 4 years ago. So that, give Tom Brady an old Julio, even if it's 5 weeks of that, he'll take advantage of it. The defense is still good. And when you look at the other teams, I mean, obviously Jameis is back for the Saints. Their offense should be pretty good with Chris Olave, Jarvis, Michael Thomas being back. But I mean, when push comes to shove, I don't think they're going to really give the Bucks a run for their money. The Falcons, I mean, Marcus Mariota, it's just not going to do it for me. And then the Panthers with Baker. I've seen Baker play plenty of times on a better roster than what he's on now, and didn't work out. So give me the Bucks. I think that's pretty simple.
Yeah, I think it's a safe and just very easy bet to pick the Bucks to win this division here. To be honest, I don't even think the value is worth even placing that bet from what I've seen. But I'm with you. Give me the Bucks to win it. With these, just to break down some of the other teams, though, the Saints, as you mentioned, with Olave and Thomas coming back, they wouldn't shock me so much if they did pull something out. We've seen last year that they did give Brady problems, and we forget. A few years ago, Jameis Winston was throwing 5,000 yards and 30 plus touchdowns with the Bucks, and Michael Thomas. We're talking about a guy that hasn't played a football game since pre-COVID, so God knows what the hell we're gonna see from him. But even if we get 3/4, 80% of what he was, and Chris Olave can turn into some type of playmaker for them, maybe Jameis does have somebody to throw the ball to and can put up some numbers and maybe give the Bucks a little fight. Like I said, I wouldn't bet it. It wouldn't shock me completely if it happens and everything. And you mentioned Atlanta. I think by as much as I kind of like Marcus Mariota, I've been a big Desmond Ritter guy. I'm kind of hoping by second half of the season he's starting and getting his shot and can kind of show what he could do. I'm expecting nothing from them. And Carolina, as much as Baker's been on a better team and hasn't done much, he's also the best option they've had at quarterback in years. And I don't hate their defense. So they may not be the worst, but when it's all said and done, this is Tampa Bay's race and division to win. Wouldn't shock me, though, if the Saints pull the sleeper move on them. Tampa Bay's offensive line is banged up early, and if you can get to Brady, we all know from the 20-plus years he's been in the NFL, the only way to beat Brady is to get to Brady. So teams are able to do that. Maybe that door is slightly cracked for the Saints to come steal it, but I definitely wouldn't bet.
Yeah, that's definitely their best. They're the best bet to knock them off. And it wouldn't shock me because even before last year with Jameis, before he got hurt, he looked pretty good. But
179 yards and finds 5 touchdowns with.
Yeah, he's lighting up the tutties.
That still blows my mind.
What a performance! Just smoking Aaron Rodgers in the Packers.
Oh man, and well, Kamara too. All right, let's get to another one. NFC North here. Personally, I think this is still an easy one. I mean, I'm not going to fade Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to bet the Packers to win this division. And similar to the Eagles, I said this last year about the Packers. They'll probably do the same thing to me, get to the conference championship game and lose it for me. Well, I said it last year how I think this defense is so much better than what people notice or give it credit for because Aaron Rodgers is there and so much credit goes to the offense. But this team as a whole, I think, is along with the Eagles, top 5 team on paper. And then you have Aaron Rodgers that's actually in the pocket. Yes, losing Devontae Adams is a big blow, but with that said, he missed some games with the Packers, and Aaron Rodgers and the Packers' offensive numbers have actually almost been better without him. So as long as a guy like Alan Lazard could step up, he still has Aaron Jones, who is kind of an iffy fantasy guy this year. With that said, I think he's going to become Rodgers' most trusted guy on offense. And like I said, that defense, I think, is the most underrated defense in football. That may not be the Indianapolis Colts. I think there's so much talent there. I said it last year. I'll ride it this year. We'll get to our Super Bowl picks at the end of this show. I'm not so sure they're going to be my pick out of the NFC yet. I'm literally going to make that decision on the fly once we get to the end of this show. But they're definitely up there and on my list. So I still love the Packers. Give me them to win that division with ease. The Vikings, in my opinion, are the one team that I think could possibly compete with them. Like I said, I'm going to try to get on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon again this year. I'm not going to say I love him, but when you look at what he's done, 30-plus touchdowns, less than 10 interceptions pretty much year in, year out. He's doing all he can, and a defense that was once so good a few years ago has kind of lost it. So maybe it really isn't his fault. And maybe they can figure something out and win some games. The Lions, I think, are going to get a Hard Knocks effect where people fall in love with them. I still don't buy it. They win more games than last year. Yes. They come close to the playoffs. I'm going to bet no. And as for the Bears, Adam ain't here, but I'm going to say it to the day I die, Justin Fields is a terrible quarterback. See that this year when they're still struggling to score points left and right. And come next season, Justin Fields may be looking for a starting job somewhere.
Yeah, we all know your hate of Justin Fields. But so I'm gonna switch it up here. I'm gonna go with the Vikings to win the North. For two reasons. One, obviously Devontae leaves, and like you said, the offensive numbers really don't change for Aaron Rodgers. But I think it's obviously a whole new room. Obviously, he lost MVS too. He has Lazard. He has his running backs. But when it comes to the receivers, it's a whole new room, and it might take them a few weeks to kind of get going. And when you look at the Vikings, obviously their offense has been together for a while. Justin Jefferson with Dalvin and Kirk, they are a pretty deadly three-headed monster. And with the Vikings, I'm pretty sure last year they lost 6 games by less than 3 points. So when you flip that, I mean, even turn half of those into wins, they're a playoff team. You turn 5 of them into wins, they won the division. And when you look at them, you just said it too. They used to be so good on defense. They fire their coach. They bring in a defensive-minded coach from the Rams and Kevin O'Connell. So I think the emphasis with him is going to be on defense because their offense is obviously good enough. So simply because I think the Packers are going to start slow. I think the Vikings will not. I think it's going to be neck and neck. But at the end of the day, I think the Vikings will end up winning the North. I'm not going to rule out the Packers making the playoffs. But I think the Vikings, this is the year they get back on top.
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't shock me. Wouldn't shock me at all. Like I said, I'm still heavily bought in for the Packers. I think thought their window is probably as wide open as it could have been last year. As long as Aaron Rodgers is still there, they could keep the core of the defense. I'll even give them this year and probably next year as well. But with that said, they missed their widest point. It's still open. It's kind of now or never. So I'll still ride Rodgers for another year or two. Hopefully he can get me there. And last division, we were Super Bowl champs coming back with the LA Rams there in the NFC West. You taking on win that division, or are you going elsewhere, Chaz?
I mean, I'm gonna stick with them. I think when you look at San Francisco, obviously they turned the reins over to Trey Lance. I saw today that they kept 5 running backs on their roster, which is absurd. The Packers kept 2. So I think the Niners are pretty committed to running the football, and obviously they have a running quarterback now. And their defense is good. I just don't think they're on the level the Rams are. I mean, the Rams lost OBJ, but I mean, they still have Stafford, they still have Cup. They got Allen Robinson, who I think pretty quietly came over there. Aaron Donald didn't retire. So I think the Rams are still going to be really good. The Seahawks obviously lost Russell Wilson, so they're not really in the picture here. And then the Cardinals, once again, they're probably going to start the year probably like 7-1, and then end the year losing almost every game, just being like the Cardinals are with Cliff Kingsbury. But I think when it comes to the division winner, though, I mean, the Rams have been there. Stafford is Stafford, and that offense can be really good again. And their defense is really good. So I'll take the chalk here. I'll take the Rams to win it. But I would say the Cardinals and Niners aren't going to be too far off.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the Rams in this one as well. The mystery Stafford injury is something that doesn't bother me or faze me as much. I feel like he almost had that same thing going on last year. And I mean, we've seen Stafford even in Detroit, like pain don't matter for him. He's fucking going to go out there. He's a gamer. He's going to play the game. And that's part of the reason why you got to love and respect the guy. And as long as he's out there, Rams are going to be more than fine. And I'm going to bank on him to be out there. I'll go right to the bottom really quick. The Seahawks, shout out Geno Smith for getting that spot, but your team will be the worst in football. I don't got anything else to say about you. I don't know what to expect. Sure, there'll be a time you guys are getting 17 and a half points this year. I'll probably try to take it just for the big cover. That's all I got there. But the other two teams are interesting, like you said, Chaz. You know, the Cardinal team, red hot start last year, before falling apart and missing the playoffs. But at the same time, you look at Cliff Kingsbury as I don't mean here to talk shit on him, so I'm going to get my time to say something. When you look at him, he's kind of made it a step up every year from, you know, not the best season, just missing the playoffs. You finally get in the playoffs, even though you had the terrible finish last year. Maybe this year they can find a way to win a playoff game. If they can start well, great, because, you know, once D-Hop gets back, that offense is only going to get better too. But even a slow start may not be the worst. Maybe you can kind of flip the script from last year and everything, wait for you to linger around 500 until you get D-Hop back and get that offense in full swing. You should be more than okay. And as for the 49ers, you know, the Jimmy Garoppolo thing is turning into a strange story this all season. I mean, you put it all in on Trey Lance, but at the same time, you're in the conference championship game last year. Trey Lance isn't getting it done. And all of a sudden, maybe you're 1-3 going into October. Is Jimmy G back in the starting spot that quick, knowing you had a team that was in the conference championship last year? Maybe you should still be good enough to get back technically. I mean, looking at that team, we know that offensive line is always very good. You know they can run it down whoever's throats, and they're going to play defensive football too. Like, that structure is always keeping the door open for a deep playoff run. And you start 1-3 with Trey Lance. What is the leash on him? How quick can Jimmy G come back if they do have that bad of a start, you think?
Yeah, it is interesting because, I mean, even as of today, they were talking that they were going to release him, and then they sign him, make him the highest paid backup. I mean, I feel like if you just turn the reins over to Trey Lance, I almost feel like you can't go backwards now, because if you do with a young quarterback, like, that's just going to diminish all of his confidence. And I think you just have to let it ride out now. Like, you pay Jimmy G to be your backup, and yes, you made the title game last year, but if you wanted, or if you were afraid of that, I think you would have started Jimmy G, and if he sucked, then you bring in Trey Lance. So I think them signing Jimmy G today is they're hoping a quarterback gets hurt in the first 6 weeks or so, trade him for some value. And if Trey Lance does get hurt because he has a mobile quarterback, then you have Jimmy G behind him. So, but I don't think you can bench Trey Lance now for Jimmy G. It kind of reminds me, and it's obviously Jimmy G brought him to the title game last year, so it's a little bit different, of when Lamar came in when he was a rookie and Flacco was behind him. Like, Lamar was not great. He started that first playoff game, it was horrible, and everyone was calling for Joe Flacco to come in. They didn't bring Flacco in. If they did, who knows what that would have done to Lamar's head. They let Lamar, pretty much fail out there. And I think, obviously it worked out in the end. So I think that's what the Niners are doing.
I don't hate it. I hope it works for them, but it turns strange. But all right, let's swap conferences here. Did the NFC start in my division? We'll start in your division, the AFC, with the AFC North. That is, your AFC champs out of that division, the Cincinnati Bengals. That division feels very interesting. I believe it's a two-team race, but how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I mean, it probably was a three-team race before Deshaun Watson got suspended, but I think it is definitely a two-team race here, and I'll obviously talk about them more later. But I'm gonna take the Ravens to win this division. What the Bengals did last year was amazing, with especially with how young they were, and obviously they're only going to get better. Burrow is a problem. Jamar Chase and Joe Mixon and T Higgins, like, they're going to be a problem for a long time. But this year, I'm going to take the Ravens. I said it even before Watson went to the Browns. When Watson went to the Browns, obviously we know what happened with the Bengals last year. I think the Ravens win this division. They were on pace to be the 1 seed last year until Lamar got hurt. So, and then when you look at the defensive side of the football, I mean, they get everyone back. They get Marlon Humphrey back, who was out for the year. They get Marcus Peters back, who was out for the year. They draft Kyle Hamilton out of Notre Dame. They traded for Marcus Williams from the Saints. So they have 2 new safeties. Obviously, you have Adafe Owa, the Penn State guy, who came onto the scene like crazy last year. So I think when you look at that defense, it's completely revamped. It's ready to go. Calais Campbell came back to try to chase a ring. Obviously, on the offensive side, you still have Lamar. You lost Marquise Brown, which you know how much I hated Marquise Brown, so I'm not too upset about that one. But the running backs was kind of a question mark, because Gus Edwards is hurt. You had J.K. who's hurt, who's now not even looking great for week 1. They just signed Kenyon Drake. They got Mike Davis, so they got a lot of running backs. So I think they're going to be the version of themselves that they were a couple of years ago when they were the 1 seed and lost to Tennessee in the playoffs at home. But I mean, that the division's really good. If the Browns can somehow stay afloat with Jacoby Brissett, and then when Watson comes back, it could make for a pretty interesting last few weeks. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take my Ravens. I think they're just the best team this year.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to back you with the Ravens on that too. The thing that scares me, I still love their defense. And I mean, as a Giants fan, trust me, I am delighted that Wink is our defensive coordinator. But so one thing that scares me is the little captain running that defense. With that said, though, kind of hit the nail on the head. The Ravens, I think, too, are back to what we've seen for the past couple of years. And as you said, they were the 1 seed until Lamar got hurt. And if Lamar is healthy, we know what they're very capable of doing. And as much as I love this Bengal team, going to love them for years to come, think they very much improved. I mean, their offensive line was the biggest question mark on that team last year. And I think it got a lot better this offseason. Their defense even takes a step up or two. The Ravens, to me, have just still were the best team in that division last year, pre-Lamar injury. Still think they're the best team in that division right now. So I'm going to take them and win that division with you. Bengals, there are times that it come where they're probably going to win, 34 straight division titles with what they got going on. I think they're a couple pieces away on defense and another offensive lineman away from really being there. But right now, it's still the Ravens' time. You nailed it. You nailed it on the head with the Browns. I'm not going to trust Brissett. I think, unfortunately, it might be too little too late by the time Watson comes back. But, it is a longer season now, 17 games, not 16 games, and 7 teams make the playoffs, not 6. So if you're lingering around a 500 record, you can still buy, 4 games with Watson, 5 games with Watson. That could open the door for a run to back into the playoffs, and that could lead to anything because that team still has talent. Myles Garrett, obviously a beast on the defensive side, and the Steelers, as good as they are defensively, I think it's kind of trial and error on quarterback for them this year. Don't know what to expect for their offense, and in a division that already has too many good teams all around. I just think the Steelers are the worst of the worst, and nothing against Mike Tomlin or them. They'll probably still find a way to win 7 or 8 games, but they're just I think they're bottom of the pack for that.
Yeah, I am interested to see though how Mitch Trubisky plays for them.
I
Obviously,
actually loved it.
no, obviously he was a backup. Yeah, I think it's a perfect fit. I don't think this year obviously is their year, but I
Yeah.
mean, I mean then you got Kenny Two Gloves behind him,
See,
and
I thought Trubisky made so much sense because I do think their defense is still pretty good. Like has all the pieces, can be that good. And when you look at the quarterback class coming in next year out of college, like that class to me is absolutely loaded. So to bring Trubisky in to bridge it to that class seemed to make so much sense. But I mean, I West Virginia guy, I have to hate Kenny Pickett until he proves it wrong. So I'm going to. I don't buy into him. I don't think there's much difference between him and Trubisky to begin with. Honestly, like I said, maybe he'll prove me wrong, but I feel like you drafted the same guy you signed to bridge into next year where there are better options than Pickett. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there with Pittsburgh and that offense.
yeah, oh well.
All right. Let's go to the AFC East. Super Bowl favorite Buffalo Bills in that division. I'll keep that part short and sweet. Yes, I'm going to pick them to win the division. Yes, I'll probably pick Josh Allen to be my MVP. Yes, that offense is going to arguably be maybe one of the top 10 offenses we see. I think that team to light up the scoreboard, put up points. Love their defense. Addition of Von Miller, just everything they did is screens for them. It is a chalk pick to win the Super Bowl. Maybe they'll be talked about later by one of us when we do our Super Bowl predictions. Maybe not, but give me Buffalo winning that division. I'm actually more interested in these other teams because you look at the Jets with Zach Wilson, this is a big year too for him. Jets did a lot for him this all season. They had a massive draft. They got all the young pieces. Maybe they could put it together and get Zach Wilson to where he needs to be. It was a rough rookie year for him, but I thought things were starting to turn. Everybody knows from last year I'm a big Zach Wilson guy, so he needs to show it to me this year because if he doesn't show any type of improvement or anything from what the Jets gave to him, it's going to say a lot, and I may have to sell out early on my boy a lot earlier than I would want to. With that said, I believe them to maybe turn a corner a bit. I still think I'm not saying they're a playoff team. I still almost think they're a few steps away from it still, even at this point. But just show me better play from Zach Wilson. I think that's a win for the season from the Jets. Tough for me to say. I don't think they're getting back to the playoffs, but with Bill, it'll never surprise me. And as for the Dolphins, talked a lot of shit about Tua earlier. I'm going to say that they're the team I don't like. They're a team I'm fading as long as Tua's a quarterback. I feel like there are some pieces there. Obviously, you had Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle had a pretty damn good rookie year, caught a fuck ton of passes. But if Tua's a guy, I can't back them. I think it's borderline Dolphins. New England can maybe sneak in as a wild card, but the Bills clear runaway in that division.
Yeah, I mean I'll keep this quick too. It's the Bills. For me, I think this is probably the most interesting division though, because I think if Zach Wilson makes a big step up, I mean that Jets offense could be pretty good. They have a lot of playmakers, young playmakers on their team. Um, the Dolphins, I'm with you. I'm not too a guy, so I'm gonna fade them as well. But the Patriots, I mean Mac Jones, they they looked good last year. Obviously, they made the playoffs and they got smoked by Buffalo. So anything can happen with, like you said, with Coach Belichick. But I wouldn't be shocked if, like you said, if the Patriots or Dolphins snuck in the playoffs. But I'm pretty sure I like teams over them. But the Jets, it does suck that Zach Wilson's not going to start the year. He got hurt already. But I'm very interested to see how he plays this year because, like I said, if he does play well, I'm not going to be like your brother, say they're going to win 13 games, but I think they could win some games.
That's what I mean. Yeah, I don't think the Jets are ready to hop into the playoffs yet. But like I said, it's everything on Zach Wilson. If you see improvement from him with the young talent you have, I think that's as big of a sign as you could ask for because that's only going to grow and get better. And I don't want to be a hypocrite here because we all know I fucking hate Justin Fields. I'm not expecting anything from him or the Bears offense, but if he has a year like last year, I could start saying I'm right about Justin Fields, but Zach Wilson's kind of in the same boat. If he has a similar year as last year with what the Jets have given him, then can't be a hypocrite. I'm gonna have to say I'm wrong about Zach Wilson too. So I need him to show me something. I'm still buying into him. I still love his talent and ability. Like I said, I don't need the playoffs from you, Jets. Just go win a few more games than you did and go show me something, Zach. That's all I need. All right, what we do? The North, the fucking East.
Got the South.
Yeah, we got the South. Then I got into the South about Matt Ryan and everything. I think I did this last year too, and it backfired. But I am all in on the Colts. You know, Carson Wentz didn't even have a bad year for the Colts, but when push came to shove, wasn't an ideal finish of the season for the Colts. However, you bring in Matt Ryan, we can lose to the Jags. Blow.
14-point favorites.
That cost me a lot of money. But you bring in Matt Ryan, I really, really think, I mean, similar to Russell Wilson and Broncos, I just think it's so crucial to never forget. I still love Matt Ryan. I mean, look at what he did with Julio Jones and Devontae Freeman a few years ago and how that offense worked and everything. And I almost think it could work very similar, same way what he has with Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman there. Like I said, listen, dollar a day when I'm talking fantasy, you're all going to know I love Michael Pittman. I'm going to be saying his name a lot this year. I hope to hopefully keep me on the right track with it. But I mean, I love the signing, and I said it when I brought up the Packers. I think the Colts have arguably the most underrated defense in football. You know, one of the best offensive lines. They have all the pieces, and Matthew Ryan to me is a big upgrade to Carson Wentz. And Carson Wentz, when you looked at the numbers, didn't even play that bad, but Matt Ryan just takes that offense to a whole new level. Like, you got to respect Matt Ryan's ability to throw the ball a lot more than you have to respect Carson Wentz's. And when you got a guy like Jonathan Taylor who ran like he did last year, I think that offense really has a chance to pop. We know we hate the Titans on this show. I hate the Titans this year. I'm fading them again, not getting too deep into it. Think we might be seeing Malik Willis a little sooner than expected. As for Derrick Henry, you know, everybody knows he's getting the ball. At some point, defenses are going to realize it. And while he's a great runner, best runner in football, and still probably going to somewhat get his, defenses are going to slow him down eventually. This is going to be a year you see that. Texans, Davis Mills is still your quarterback. That's all I have to say. As shocking as it kind of was rookie year, he's not it. And who the hell am I missing here? The Jaguars. The Jaguars actually, I think they're a sleeper team. It wouldn't shock me if they come in second in this division this year. I mean, Trevor Lawrence to me is still the next generation of these quarterbacks. I think we're talking about a potential Hall of Famer guy. I do think he has that talent and ability. Came into a brutal start with Urban Meyer at this Jacksonville head coaching job. Just was never going to work anyway. You know, new coach, Jacksonville really upgraded their did what they can to upgrade their offense, bolstered the offensive line. You know, we're going to see who Trevor Lawrence is this year. I'm expecting a step up from him too on this team.
Yeah, I mean, that was going to be my bold take too. The Jags come in second place this division. I'm going to take the Colts too. I thought last year, if they snuck in, they had a chance to go to the AFC title game because of the way they were constructed. And with Carson Wentz just not turning the ball over. Obviously, they didn't beat the Jaguars, so that didn't really work out. But I think the Colts run away with this division. I don't think it's close. Titans, I mean, I think they've gotten just much worse from last year. Obviously, you lose A.J. Brown, you lose Julio, who didn't really do much for you. But, I mean, your number one is Robert Woods right now, who's coming off, missing half the year last year with the Rams. Obviously a new offense. It's going to be the Derrick Henry show. And like you said, teams are going to put 8 in the box. Sometimes 8 in the box for Derrick Henry don't work, but I think they're going to have to. And the other thing that's going to hurt the Titans this year is game script, because they're probably going to be losing in the fourth quarter a lot. Years past, they've been winning in the fourth quarter. So that's why you just give it to Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry gets like 100 yards in the fourth quarter alone, because he gets better as the game goes on. But when the game script isn't in their favor, Tannehill's going to have to throw the ball, and I think that's going to be problematic. So Texans, Davis Mills, I mean, the Texans aren't going to be very good this year, probably the worst team in the AFC. Jags, I'm on board with the Jags. I said it at the end of last year, the most interesting coaching hire I thought was Doug Peterson, taking another young quarterback like he did with Wentz in Philly. And, I mean, obviously that worked. Trevor Lawrence was, one of the highest regarded quarterback prospects coming out since Andrew Luck. I don't think 1 year is going to shy me away from that. I think he's going to be good this year. I think Doug Pearson is going to help him. Jags went out and got a lot of offensive playmakers. They get Travis Etienne back too. Jags are obviously probably not expected to be very good, but I think they're gonna be better than the Titans this year.
Yeah, I love. I can't wait to get Adam on the show too. I gotta hear about some of his fades, because Adam feels like a big Derrick Henry guy too. So yeah. He might back the Titans with this, but we're gonna have to get him on board that we're fading the Titans this year on the show. It just has to be. It has to be a thing at this point. Well, we went right over the fact too with the Falcons, so that you don't have to worry about betting them this year too. But
not touching.
Titans are gonna be one of those teams that I feel like they're one of those teams that have been brought up multiple times in the past on this show that have come to burn one of us or the other. And this is the year, hopefully, we could all fade them, and we'll see what happens with them. But all right, we said it at the start. We're going to save the best division in football for last this year. We talked multiple times about how it's just fireworks and points coming. So, Chaz, I'll let you take it first. I mean, you want to talk about throwing a dart and maybe have a chance at any of these 4 teams winning the division. Who are you taking?
Yeah, I mean, that's probably the best chance you got at it. I would imagine they're all pretty similar when it comes to betting to win the division. But I'm probably going to take.
They're not respecting the Raiders at all in Vegas, I think, right now, actually. But
fair enough. I'm probably going to take who I would assume is going to be the favorite, and that's the Chargers. I mean, their offense. I mean, you look at their offensive playmakers. I mean, you have Herbert, Eckler, Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, and then, like you said, they ramped up their defense in a division that defense is going to be key. I mean, you look at the Chiefs. Obviously, at Patrick Mahomes, they lost Tyreek Hill, which is a huge loss. But I mean, they have Juju and they have MVS, who obviously is a very serviceable receiver. So I don't think they're going to lose too much on the offensive side. But I mean, we've said it, even in their best years, their defense wasn't very good, and it keeps getting worse. So I think that's going to be their Achilles heel this year. Also, the running backs really aren't very good. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I think, was a miss here with KC. And then the Raiders, they are getting no respect. They're going to beat some of these teams. They're a good team. But I mean, when it comes to the Raiders, obviously, like last year they started off really hot and then they kind of fell off. It's going to be a crapshoot, but at the end of the day, if I am picking one of these teams to get out of this crazy conference, it's going to be the Chargers, and that's not a knock on Denver. I think Russell Wilson's going to be good there. It's just a big task for them to jump that much in 1 year to win this division. I'm not saying they won't be good this year. I just think the Chargers, they've been playing together. I think they get it done.
Yeah, this is extremely tough to pick. I mean, as I said, I like the Chargers defense. I trust the Chargers defense the most, but now that it's here and I got to pick it, I'm going to take my boy Russell Wilson. I'm going to take the experience with him and to get the job done and win this division. The thing that's crazy about this division, I do think it could be any of these four. And, these teams are going to beat each other up. There is a chance all four teams make the playoffs, and it wouldn't shock me because, a whole bunch of 10-7 teams in this division from beating each other up won't surprise me, which I'm going to say the Colts actually end up with the 2 seed in the AFC because I think these teams beat each other up, and I think they have an easier path in their division. Colts going 6-0 in their division doesn't shock me either, and that kind of opens up the door for a 2 seed behind Buffalo for me. But with that said, give me Russell Wilson to do it, get a job done. He has the experience. He's a Super Bowl winner. He wanted to get traded because he didn't like his situation in Seattle. He came to a spot where I think he's in a better spot than Seattle has. Personally, I like Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy better than DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett to begin with. I think that's one of the best duos, if not the best duo Russell has ever had to work with. 2 good running backs, Javonte Williams, Gordon. No, he has it all there. So I'm gonna ride the veteran of all these quarterbacks. The Broncos window too with Russell Wilson is this year and maybe next year, maybe a third year. But I mean, your Mahomes, your Carrs, your Herberts, we're talking about guys that still have 5-6 years, and Denver needs to do it now. I think Russ is going to find a way. He'll win that division, but I mean, anytime you get a divisional matchup in this division, you turn your TV on. It's fireworks. I'm basing half my fantasy team possibly around this division just because points are going to be scored. And it's a way to look at it and a way to go. But I'll take Russ and the Broncos. And as much as I love the Chargers division defense and think that's a leg up, I do think Denver's is the next best defense behind them.
Yeah, I agree. I would imagine every matchup in this, the home team is probably going to be favored by like
minimum 52 over unders too. Yeah, they're all 50s.
Home team minus 2.5 or whatever it is every fucking game.
Yep, every game. It's going to be. It's honestly one of the most exciting things I've seen in the NFL in my memory. A division this loaded and good.
Yeah, I mean the AFC in general this year is going to be
so
crazy.
So good. To be honest, actually, the AFC West winner, I forgot about your. I mean, they might be the 4 seed.
Yeah, I mean they're gonna beat everyone up.
They beat each other up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're really getting into our 7 playoff teams and our Super Bowl predictions here, but yeah, like I said, I mean, wow, that's crazy. All right, let's do this. We'll definitely say the AFC for a second, but. Let's go NFC. I'll run it down for you really quick. I'm going to stick with the Packers as my 1 seed. They're the team I love. I still trust that defense. I love their defense. I'll take the defending Super Bowl champs to be the 2 seed. I still think they're a step above everyone in that division. So to go 4-2 in that division, I think should open them up for the 2 seed. 3 seed. Give me Tampa Bay. Schedule's not the best division, but like I said, I do think there's problems with that offensive line. Couple upsets, couple teams might get to Brady, pull off the upsets. Eagles, the 4 seed. And then my 3 wild cards, I'll take Dallas. I'll take Minnesota. And if Trey Lance is to be guys season long, I can't trust it. So give me Arizona to come back to the playoffs out of that for the final team in the NFC.
All right, well, we're pretty damn similar when it comes to all playoff teams. 1 seed, I'm going to take the Bucs here. I think that division is just really bad, and I think if it is Brady's last year, I think he's going to be on a mission again. 2 seed, I'll go with the defending champs and the Rams. 3 seed, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think if they win the North, they're obviously going to have a lot of wins. 4 seed, I'll take the Birds. 5 seed, I'll take the Packers. I'm not fading the Packers, like I said. I think they're just going to get off to a slow start. 6 seed, I'll take the Cardinals. And 7 seed, I'll take the Niners.
Get the Niners in. All right. You're an AFC guy. You want to go first for your 1 through 7?
Yeah, this is fun. All right. I'm gonna go we got 1 seed. I'll give it to the Bills. I didn't have them listed here, so I'm doing this off the top. Bills 1. I'm gonna go Ravens 2, Colts 3, Chargers 4, Broncos 5, Bengals 6, Chiefs 7.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna go Bills 1. I'm gonna ride with that. I'm gonna go Colts 2. As like I said, I mean, I think that division, as easy as it is, I think they're a coast through. You steal a couple wins from that, and that comes big. I'll give you a Ravens 3. I'm gonna take my Broncos 4. And when you look at the schedule, kind of another reason why I like them to win it all too. We're talking about the team that did finish last place in that division. So when you're talking the schedule that's 2 or 3 games different than the rest of your division, games different is against a bunch of teams that finished in last place in their respective divisions too for the Broncos compared to the rest. And when you look at that, I think that's going to go a long way for them too. That could be 3 more wins that they could steal that some of those other teams can't, even though I think they're better than the rest. As for the wild card, give me the Chargers in the 5. I do want to keep them out. I can't do it though because it is Mahomes, and give me the Chiefs as a 6. And last year's AFC champions. I mean, I'm not saying it was a fluke. This team is very good and good for years to come, but I still think they're a couple pieces away from potentially being that dynasty and Super Bowl winning team that they are. And they still get in this year. So give me the Bengals as a 7th.
All right. Well, we have all the same teams then.
Anyway, yeah. Oh, that means the Raiders are definitely getting in.
Lock them in right now.
Don't forget they got in.
Yeah, they almost beat the Bengals. What'd you say?
So you want to go first or second on Super Bowl?
I'll take it.
You'll take it?
I'll take it.
That's confidence.
It is confidence. You're gonna laugh. All right, I'm gonna go. My bowl is gonna be the Ravens Bucks, and I've never done this on the show before. I'm gonna take my Ravens to win it all.
Oh wow!
I think this is their year. I just have a feeling, and I think Lamar is gonna go ape shit this year.
Hey, 5th year anniversary of the show. Welcome, Baltimore. It's that time to pick your squad.
It's that time. I've never felt this confident. Yeah, just with the defense, the way it's looking, and Lamar, I think this is it.
Okay, I think I might be bold here.
Oh, okay.
I think I might be bold. I'll just stick with you with the NFC. It's Tom Brady. Likely last year. Yeah, I think he's going to find a way. As much as I really want to pick Aaron Rodgers and the Packers, they're just trying to throw the curveball and be bold. I love this defense. I love him on the new team. Give me these Colts out of the AFC to find a way to get the job done. Like I said, I think we're talking about a team that's has a bunch of winnable games, gain some momentum, gain some confidence, go into it. They got all the right pieces. I love their defense. I think their defense could surprise people once it comes to the playoff push too. Love their offensive line. They kind of have the formula and recipe I think it takes for a deep playoff run. And when it's all said and done, you want to flip what happened 28 to 3 years ago. Give me Matt Ryan to beat Tom Brady in the Super Bowl.
Oh wow. That would be pretty electric. I mean, The Colts have the roster to make a run in the playoffs. They do.
I would put 20 on them to win it now at this point.
Might as well. I said it.
Not once. I get asked a lot too. Just know it. Not once have I actually been asked like who I got in the Super Bowl. So like this whole podcast was me talking division by division, trying to figure it out. And as it came to it, I'm like, what? This might be the sleeper team, and that team worth betting. You look at Matt Stafford going to the Rams last year, a new team. It almost feels like it's a very similar vibe to what they have going on there.
Yeah. No, let's say week 12. I wrote like an article and I picked the Rams out of the NFC. I picked the Colts out of the AFC because I thought they were both just like built for the playoffs. So I like the Colts pick. I was sad. I hope the Ravens beat them, but
yeah,
I like it.
And then, Carson Wentz you in that from that article.
Yes, he did.
Yes, and Matt Ryan ain't gonna do that to you.
Yeah, yes, he did.
All right, folks, that is fucking season 5 already, episode 1, and just like that, next week we are crunching games and we are breaking down lines and placing bets, and I can't wait for it.
We got Gonzo back too.
And Gonzo back for Thursday night, and you want to talk about a fucking game he has to pick.
Yeah.
a potential Super Bowl matchup there with the Rams and Bills.
It is, yeah, 100%.
He's got a damn good one to pick. Look out for that one, folks.